Christy.
And I'm Charlotte.
I'm Erica, Queen of Darkness.
Yeah!
Yay! And you're here listening to our 100th episode of our wildly popular and internet famous podcast.
You're welcome, world.
Thanks for coming on our podcast today, Erica. It's nice to see
I'm
your
super
face.
excited. I'm very excited. I can't believe you've done 100 episodes and I've not listened to all 100, and I apologize.
Listeners, in case this is your first time listening to our podcast, Erica is my friend from middle school, which was, we're not going to say how many years ago, but it was a fucking lot.
It was a long time ago in another century.
Instead of saying my oldest friend, we're going to say my longest friendship of my entire life.
I like that. I like that better than this.
And Erica and I got in some trouble together over the years. So whenever Erica's on, you know it's going to be a special treat for you.
Always a good time.
So cheers to 100 episodes. Cheers, everybody.
What's everyone drinking?
I have champagne.
I have whiskey and really good whiskey, local whiskey, and Crystal Light with some spinach in a plastic cup with a straw.
Speaking of the 90s, I'm drinking Crystal Light.
I'm drinking something called a High Noon, which is like a truly like a White Claw, a seltzer with booze in it.
Mm.
This episode is also being recorded with video instead of only audio, specifically for our patrons.
Hey,
so
shout out to our
very
patrons.
much, patrons. We really appreciate you, and thanks so much for supporting our stupid little pandemic project that turned into now a really fun
Hobby,
lively, exciting, fun time.
Internationally famous, right?
It actually kind of is.
It is, yeah. So this is the point of the podcast where we repent for things that we've done or said or done wrong.
There's so much.
Generally in the previous week, but we could go way back if we wanted to.
Yeah, I'm sure there's something, but I just can't think of it.
Our friend Courtney, Erica, you know Courtney.
Mm-hmm.
She was on last week, or no, the week before, and she was telling us about this show called The Thing About Pam. Have you heard of it?
I've heard of it, yeah.
She was saying, she was going off about how great it was. Actually, she had mentioned it. We tried to record one the week before. Anyway, she's been talking about how great it is. And I repent for not watching it sooner because it was really fucking great.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. So that's my repentance.
I can't believe how our legal system is so goddamn corrupt. But yet I am not shocked at the same time.
Yeah, I repent for not burning everything down when I heard about the Supreme Court leak a couple of weeks ago. So that's my repentance, that I didn't set everything on fucking fire.
Yeah. We just barely even touched on that. We didn't talk about it too much because we were drunk at Disneyland.
And we're too rage-filled to be able to make coherent sentences.
But it's horrifying.
Just
It's
horrifying.
The same logic used in the argument to shut down any chance of any woman ever having any body autonomy and causing forced pregnancies, which is against Amnesty International and all sorts of things, can also be used to take apart gay marriage, interracial marriage, and your right to have birth control.
Right.
So that same argument can be used.
It also goes after IVF. So those who want to get pregnant through whatever IVF stands for, the
in vitro fertilization.
There you go. But because they're using embryos for that, like that's out the door too. So if you want to have your own baby, good fucking luck with it. So it's not just abortion. It covers quite a bit of shit. Like,
and the most frustrating part to me about the whole thing is like, look, the people who are making these decisions, like, go fuck yourself, Brett Kavanaugh.
Or the 80-year-old fucking white dude.
Or Amy Trump, whatever.
Right.
The worst thing is they lied about it. They said on the stand, when we asked all 5 of these guys who have written this amicus brief, is that they said that, oh no, it is Roe versus Wade.
Decided law,
and it's not our job to overturn decided law.
So that's perjury.
But if I lied on the stand, what the fuck would happen to me, right? Like
Right.
how much
Jail
would I
time for sure.
Yeah. But what happens if you're a Supreme Court justice who lies under oath? What happens? Fucking nothing.
Yeah,
Right.
who's gonna try your case? Because there's no court higher.
Right.
Oh, it's crazy sauce. Anyway,
Yeah.
expand the court to 13.
Right.
Yeah, if not more.
And have term limits on everything. Should have a fucking term limit. I don't care
Well,
what department it is.
We have 9 because it lined up with the 9 circuit courts. When we started the Supreme Courts, there were 9 circuit courts. Now there are 13 circuit courts. So if we want to keep with the same argument, and then 13, you never get a deadlock. So expand it.
Yeah,
That's all.
totally.
I didn't know that. I learned something new today.
Yay.
If you guys want to get mad about something else, I've got something really fun for Mormon Corner today.
I've seen a little bit of it and it's terrible.
For some reason, I was like having a really restless sleep last night, and I woke up. There's this lady at my work who's just a horrible, evil. She's just so mean. And I was waking up dreaming that she had resigned, and I was like, oh, this is good.
Sorry.
But then I started having these like repressed memories surfacing of like watching these videos in church as a kid in the 80s, these like, animated cartoon videos for kids. And I woke up thinking about that, and I was like, I wonder if I could find those on the internet. And so I did a little digging. It wasn't hard, and I found them. I found the 2 that I was thinking of. So for Mormon Corner today, this is not going to play very well in the audio, and I'm sorry if you're only listening and you're not seeing the video.
But you could also go to our Twitter or Instagram or Facebook page where we have shared these videos too.
But Erica, I want to show you this one that just really triggered me today.
To decide their destiny, the head of the Mormon gods called a great heavenly council meeting. Both of Elohim's eldest sons were there, Lucifer and his brother Jesus. A plan was presented to build planet Earth, where the spirit children would be sent to take on mortal bodies and learn good from evil. Lucifer stood and made his bid for becoming savior of this new world. Wanting the glory for himself, he planned to force everyone to become gods. Opposing the idea, the Mormon Jesus suggested giving man his freedom of choice, as on other planets. The vote that followed approved the proposal of the Mormon Jesus, who would become savior of the planet Earth. Enraged, Lucifer cunningly convinced 1/3 of the spirits destined for Earth to fight with him in revolt. Thus, Lucifer became the devil and his followers the demons. Sent to this world, they would forever be denied bodies of flesh and bone. Those who remained neutral in the battle were cursed to be born with black skin. This is the Mormon explanation for the Negro race.
What in the
Spirits that
actual
fought
fuck?
most valiantly against Lucifer would be born into Mormon families on planet Earth. These would be the lighter-skinned people, or white and delightsome, as the Book of Mormon describes them. Early Mormon prophets taught that Elohim and one of his goddess wives came to Earth.
Fucked up, right?
Fucking Mormons.
I had that explained to me by somebody in middle school. And when the next person I asked about it was like, oh, absolutely not. That's ridiculous. How awful it is. That sounds why would anybody ever say that? But it's in a fucking cartoon for kids.
Yeah. There's one more. Let me show you this other one. It's very similar, but it's a little shorter. But let me show you this one too.
Daddy Anton's robbers are being very wicked, but look what Heavenly Father has done. See my skin? Isn't it pretty and white? Heavenly Father made my skin white. All righteous Lamanites now have a white skin. Isn't it wonderful? Oh, I look so pretty.
Yeah.
I know, dude. I know. That's what I woke up thinking about today. And I was like, is this therapy? Because I feel like now I'm wondering, I always think every time like a thought crosses my brain, like, am I racist for thinking that? Or I notice somebody's skin color. Does that make me a racist? I think I finally figured out why this morning after pulling that shit up.
Wait, because you've been indoctrinated by a cult.
Yeah.
I that video looks so culty. I don't understand how you can't be like looking at that sort of shit and go, wow, I'm in a cult. I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
Right.
And the way that video starts, that last one I just showed you, like the girl with the little baby girl with the white skin who's like, oh, my skin's white and pretty now. She started out brown in the beginning of the video.
But because she was righteous, Jesus, Heavenly Father made her white and delightsome. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, if you ask them now, actually, they've changed the wording. Even if you get a Book of Mormon now, it's changed to pure and delightsome. And they're like, oh, they never meant it as anything about race.
Except for they spelt it out for you just now.
Yeah.
But
And I was like, you can't gaslight me. Like, I fucking remember that shit.
They're going to try because that's
right.
how they
Well,
work.
Well, that's why I'm going to keep reposting that all over. Somebody's going to eventually say it's doctored or whatever, but I remember.
Oh, no, that looks pretty real.
Yeah. I just dug it up off of YouTube and I couldn't figure out a way to like download it or save it or share it legit. So I just did a screen recording of that. But, you know, it is what it is. It's better than not having any record or documentation of it at all.
That's disgusting and terrifying.
Yeah. Anyway, that's Mormon Corner today.
Love it.
Delightful. Yay.
Usually we try to do something fun like a silly recipe or, you know, I don't know.
Well, it made me kind of think of too, and I just tried to look it up, but I couldn't because I tagged you in it, but I was triggered also this week on somebody who had written in one of the ex-Mormon groups saying that her mom essentially is a little crazy, right? And that the things that she had said was like the New Kids on the Block were now Mormon because some missionaries had given them a Book of Mormon. So now they've been converted, and that Donnie Wahlberg was going to be the daughter would be her husband. Right. And there was so much that just went through it. And I was like, oh my God, that sounds just like my mom. Like my mom would say whatever the pop culture thing was that made, like
at the
kind
time
of crazy. But like, it was kind of like cathartic too, because I was kind of like, well, my mom's not just nuts. She was raised in a cult that made you think every thought you had was a revelation from Jesus, right? So it's not just like, oh, my mom's not bipolar. I don't even know if she's chemically imbalanced, but it's just she's been trained to believe that every thought that goes into her brain is from Jesus,
which is problematic.
right? It's not good.
I mean, it's probably how we got everybody, like all the saints. And Moses sees a burning bush because he ate some mushrooms.
Right.
Like I've seen burning bushes too, bitches. And that after some funny fungi.
I've seen a mountain turn into the eye of a Native American who led me on a journey through the nature wilderness. That's not a lie. I actually had that happen to me. And it was me and my friend Dorcas.
But in olden times, they would call you a saint.
Yeah.
Right.
I think you were there for that.
You're a prophet.
I think you were there for that time, Erica, but I think because we were at Alan's cabin, but I think you had stayed behind at the cabin and me and Dorcas climbed up the mountain.
Was it the time that I accidentally ate 50 hits because I didn't keep track and then I went crazy, thought I was trapped in my room and I'd never be able to get out again?
I totally forgot about that. That was intense.
It was intense. It was more than 50. It was I was selling acid.
Yeah.
And I would sell it to have some, and so I had a lot of it on me, which was my profit, and I ate all of it. But the first night it was like a couple, and we were there for like a week. It was Alan's hippie cabin commune, something or other, that we were up there doing crafts. Is that the time that we were tie-dyeing and making candles
and watching Disney movies?
Yeah. And Val made a beach. Yeah. In the river. So, by the end of so if you take acid, the next day you have to take more of it. And the next day you have to take more than that. And by the end of that time, I had taken like 7 or 8 tapes, which is 10 a piece. So I had taken about 70 or 80 and I hadn't felt anything until I did. And then I had to go lock myself in a bedroom and hide under the bed and just try to sleep while the voices like stopped and kept on writing down. It's like, it's going to be over in the morning. You're going to be fine. morning. Just let it go. You're not crazy. In the morning, you will know that in the morning.
And the rest of us too had to keep, like, we were also very worried, so we kept coming in to check on you, but we were also very high, so that the energy was just too intense in there. So we're like, just leave the lights off, leave her in there for a minute longer. We'll go check on her later.
And there was a lot of like, "Are you asleep?" "Yes, I am asleep." "Oh, good." "Yes, I'm asleep."
But we'll come back to telling more cabin stories later on.
Right.
Right.
I believe that was one of the stories we had chosen for this episode. Not this particular one, but a cabin story.
Okay.
Okay. Back to the format, ladies. This is a very serious podcast. We have got to stick to the
rules.
timeline,
Rules and regulations.
which is cool shit.
Oh my God. Can I talk about my favorite thing ever? Because, it's the greatest. Kids in the motherfucking Hall. They're back. They're on Amazon Prime and they're fucking hilarious. They're about 60 years old, so they look old as fuck, but I don't even give a shit because the hilarity is like on point.
It's great. It's I think we're at the very last day, maybe. So it might be too late by the time this airs tomorrow. But they're determining, the algorithm is determining whether
I think
they're
there's a week
from
they posted it yesterday, said this week is the week that they're going to determine whether we get a season 2 or not.
Gotcha.
So if you ever loved Kids in the Hall and you don't have time to watch it, just put it on in the background and let it loop so that they get a second season. Because I assure you personally, from myself, Charlotte,
from my soul,
that this is as good as it was in the 90s. They fucking nailed it.
she's not wrong. It's
really good.
On what platform can you get
Amazon.
Amazon Prime.
The devil, which actually they reference, which is awesome.
For a really long time, they had a sketch called The Chicken Lady, and I would do a lot of Chicken Lady. I'd quote The Chicken Lady a lot, and then the Crushing Your Heads. I did that. And then I also sing the Terrier song. And I think about that whenever I think of Dexter, that terriers are my favorite breed. Cute. No one wants to die like this guy died. Eat him. So I liked the old stuff. I'm sure I'm gonna like the new stuff.
You'll love it. Yeah. I think Kids in the Hall is actually probably a pretty good judge of character to know if you're gonna get along with somebody.
Yeah, absolutely.
If I'm ever gonna go on a date with anyone ever again, I'm gonna ask them, to be the first question I ask them.
How do you feel about the Kids in the Hall?
Exactly. And see what they say.
Because I also have this theory that once you get kind of rich and famous, or even just, I equated it to having children. I was like, once you start having kids, maybe you're less funny than you used to be, or you have less passion. But now I realize it's the success of it. So like, and I know you have a child and I love her and her name is great, but I'm just saying like Lucas, like George Lucas, Steven Spielberg, all these like directors and writers who were so amazing in their youth now aren't that great anymore. Like they kind of ruined everything.
I don't think it's that they're not great anymore. I think it's that they've tried to change what they've already done that and love to be something different for a kid. It's not that they've changed, it's that they're changing their material.
Yeah, I don't like it.
No,
I think
nobody does.
Is like creativity is like a garden, and you have to nurture it and grow it, and you can't keep on pulling stuff out without like planting other plants there or fertilizing your creativity. And when you're somebody that famous, you don't do that, and so your well runs dry.
Right,
you're just not getting as good at ideas.
That's fair.
I don't know.
Like feel the Kids in the Hall, they're the exact hilarity as they were in the early 90s.
Delightful.
So they're very delightsome. The other thing I loved was on Hulu, and is a show called Candy. Like, right? Well, you heard about it?
Yes, I have. I actually remember the true crime story about this. So
okay. So I didn't know anything about it. I just kind of went in on a whim after watching some the Under the Banner of Heaven. We're like, well, what's this Candy about? And it was great. I watched pretty much all of it.
Yeah, it was good.
Right off the bat.
I watched season 2 of Russian Doll, and I want to be Natasha Lyonne, and I just need to take up smoking cigarettes again, and I will fucking be there.
Well, okay, what did you think about season 2? Because we were both like, what the fuck?
I loved season 1 so much. And season 2, I was just like, what's happening?
It was really confusing where they were and what kind of story they were telling. And mostly I just followed it for Natasha Lyonne's hair.
Yeah, she's
Yes.
fucking great.
Yeah.
Chloe Svengay's like pregnant smoking.
Is that how you say her name? Svengay?
I don't know. Sevengay? Sevengay?
Sevigny?
Sevengay?
I don't know.
Yeah.
She's fucking great too, though.
She's a Chloe.
Yeah, she is a Chloe and she's fabulous.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I liked it. I enjoyed it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first season. The first season it made a lot more sense to me. This time travel, and I had to do a lot of my own math in the time travel thing of like, oh, well, we've created a paradox. This always has to happen this way. This has to go here and blah, blah, blah. And it always happened. And how fucked up is that?
Yeah. I kind of get the impression that maybe it was just too smart for me because I wasn't following it. I wasn't getting it.
I don't know if it was too smart, but I also think you have to be in the right mindset to like solve some of it yourself.
Yeah, maybe.
And that is not because you're plenty fucking smart.
Well, I mean, I got a few things going for me, but like, so I don't know. My brain gets a little scrambly sometimes.
Mine does too.
It's all those 50 hits of acid we took that one time.
I really do have that's what's wrecked my short-term memory. My short-term memory is gone from all the drug drinking.
Did I tell you that I talked to my dad about taking acid?
No, what?
When this podcast started, my dad called me. He's like, so what's this podcast you and Charlotte are doing? You know, because like a bunch of my cousins and stuff, I think were complaining to him about it, that we were like, we're mocking your religion, apostates, or I don't know what. So we're like, what's this podcast? And I was like, well, fuck. I guess I got to tell my dad. Finally, I'm 40, almost 50 years old.
A face full of makeup.
I was like, well, so it's basically just me and Charlotte talking about getting drunk and the stupid shit we did when we were teenagers is what it's morphed into. That's not really what it started out as, but that's what it's morphed into. And he's like, oh, well, like what? And I was like, like when we took acid in high school and stuff. He's like, you took acid? So first of all, yay me for not having my dad ever know that, because I took how much acid did we take? Nobody will ever know.
Don't even know. There's no math. There's not a number for that. It's like Googleplex or something. Elon Musk looks at that number and goes, whoa.
Exactly.
That is a big number.
Exactly.
That's a lot.
But then he was also like, I was like, well, he's like, who took acid? And I was like, well, yeah, we took acid. And he's like, well, I mean, that sounds dangerous. And I was like, it's fine.
We were at Erica's parents' house most of the time. So
I didn't tell him that. I was like, we were supervised. It's fine. It's fine. And I had this fleeting thought go through my head about how I remember being on acid one time at the dinner table and having a bunch of acid in my pocket and thinking like, what if I just dosed my dad? Like, what if I just put it in his milk?
No.
I obviously didn't, and I never would.
That'd be so mean.
But the thought crossed my mind, and I think it was so dramatic that it's never, after all of these years, it's never left my mind.
Oh, sure.
That was the thought that crossed my mind. Anyway.
I'm of the opinion that my friends need to have done that or some sort of psychedelic, or else they just aren't going to understand me.
Yeah, the universe.
I'm not going to understand them because they don't know the things that I know.
Well, I think we should talk about cleaning up, staying on topic. We've got a schedule to keep. Our town is also, it's cool shit. We're talking about cool shit. Our town has been cleaned up of disgusting political signs. We don't know who did it, but it was great.
Oh yeah, we do just want to thank the local residents of San Juan Capistrano for removing all of the Todd Spitzer campaign election signs from our town. That guy's a racist piece of shit, and he has no business being the district attorney of Orange County. So we just want to give a little shout out, say thank you
for all of those who might have kicked over some signs.
Good job.
Good job, guys.
Some laws are meant to be broken. That's all I'm saying.
Some laws are bad laws. When a law is framing more power to the oppressor, it's time for us to rise up and break those laws.
Right. Agreed. Well said.
Thanks. I've had that in my back pocket for a really long time.
Cheers.
And if you happen to be living in Southern Orange County, do not vote for Todd Spitzer.
Anywhere in Orange County.
Anywhere in Orange County. Fuck that fucking fuck.
He's very racist.
For
The
state,
thing that stands out in my brain, the
State district. No, he's our county, Orange County district.
District
attorney.
he's a district attorney.
Yeah, Charlotte will tell you why.
he said, well, Mandy told me, so you should probably say.
Okay. Well, actually, I got this from Sean King, Sean King apparently grew up in Southern Orange County.
He did.
Yeah, and he was posting this thing about Todd Spitzer and what a racist piece of shit he was, and I was like, okay, what's this about? So there was a meeting, and they were determining the fate of this guy's life, this black man's life. Committed a crime. I don't know what it was, but in the meeting with all the attorneys trying to decide what was going to happen to him, Todd Spitzer said, well, how many white women has he dated?
What the fuck?
To like a silent room, and nobody knew what to say. And finally, this one guy was like, "You can't say that. Like that's illegal and wrong. You can't say that." And then the conversation went however it went, but that he had that guy fired and disbarred
for saying that's wrong.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's just one thing. Like that's just one little thing that I picked up from one guy on social media.
Fuck that fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
So Google Todd Spitzer and racist and see
Yes.
what you come up with, because you're going to come up with a lot, I'll bet you.
Oh yeah, because that's one thing on
yeah.
a million, I'm sure.
Right.
Jeez.
All
Yeah,
right.
you don't just say that as an outlier. That's
No.
not just see.
Well, and one other thing too, we just recently had a parade come through town. There's this thing called Swallows Day that happens in Orange County or in San Juan Capistrano specifically.
When all the swallows fly
Yeah.
back to San Capistrano, which I know from a play that I did in high school.
You know that from a play?
I do.
Andy,
I did
this town is famous.
competition play with Matt. I won't say his last name, but he was also at our high school. Starts
Uh-huh.
with a B.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, and he and I went to competition with it, and the line was, "And now I'll never hear the birds sing as they leave Capistrano."
Oh. Well, we had a parade here, and Todd Spitzer had his own carriage thing or car thing or whatever, with
Bulletproof,
bulletproof. It was definitely, it had a glass barrier that said, Todd Spitzer, DA for OC, Orange County.
Don't make OCLA.
And so we were drinking because it's like a day parade, and I don't know what came over me, but I just started yelling racist.
I'm like, Mandy, we're not allowed to yell
from the
it.
crowd. And then apparently other people were yelling stuff too.
Like, it's okay to resign. Like,
So it's not just us that hate Todd
the guy's
Spitzer.
a piece of shit.
Wow.
Which is also why there's probably no signs around town.
Yeah.
So really, again,
And why he's
talk to
in
my
a
neighbors.
vehicle. So there you have it. Known racist.
Yeah.
Todd Spitzer.
But let's be anti-racists.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say fuck racism. Even though you were inundated as a child with videos telling you that the Lamanites were whatever, don't believe it.
Right. Don't do it, especially because they use the same animation. So if you bother to go look, for those who are just listening, go onto our social medias and you can watch the video. They look just like The Last Unicorn, which was one of my favorite movies as a child.
Or He-Man, or it was the
Right.
style of the time. Anyway, hey, I want to mention this real quick. We're recording this on Zoom. We're too cheap to pay for a membership, upgraded membership. So we're running out of time. So we're going to do a little pause here, maybe hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll come back with some This Motherfucker and some stories. How does that sound?
Sounds
This
good.
motherfucker.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll be right back.
Bye.
Hey,
Welcome
back.
Welcome back to the podcast. So
I have a couple things for This Motherfucker. If nobody minds, I'll just kick it off.
go for it.
There's a lot of things to choose from. First of all, actually, this should have been in cool shit, but we need to mention that Madison Cawthorn was not reelected for the nomination.
Yes, that
so-
was amazing.
It's so weird. The Republicans don't like you to mention their drug-fueled sex orgy. It's like,
strange.
who'd have thought?
Yeah. So I'm glad to get rid of that motherfucker, but obviously another one is gonna sprout up in his place.
Right.
Like for example, in Pennsylvania, have you guys heard that Dr. Oz is actually in the lead for being considered the Republican nominee for Senate?
Fuck off.
Not kidding.
Why did I think that he was there was tied at some point where they thought he might lose, and then Trump had put on his stupid Truth Social bullshit that just declare that you've won. It makes it harder for them to like say that you didn't. Like it's just like, oh, you're a fucking douche. But they haven't called it yet. Then?
No, and they probably won't until June 8th because it's a pretty close race.
Okay.
And so, obviously, in case you're listening from another country, so we're in the stage now of the primary elections where each party, people from their own party are battling off to see who gets the actual nomination to fight against the opposing party.
Right.
So they're kind of like, the Republicans are kind of like weeding out the trash and replacing it with more sane
trash.
Appearing trash. So we're very likely to see the end of Marjorie Taylor Greene and
Lauren Boebert.
Yes, thank you. And all
That would be nice.
all that fucking rubbish.
I wish Mike Lee, but I don't know if that's going to happen here.
Which one?
Mike Lee. We've got Mike Lee.
Yeah.
And he's of the Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene. He won't vote for anything. It's we love babies, but we won't vote for, any food for them. And
Right.
Yeah, like this guy who's going against Marjorie Taylor Greene in Georgia. His name's Herschel Williams. Have you heard of him? She's very likely also going to be defeated because she's a fucking batshit crazy nut job, QAnon.
Right.
But yeah, this guy's coming in like, absolutely anti-abortion in any case. There's never a reason for anyone to have an abortion. Pro-life all the way. Pro-life.
Don't care if you're about to die from it. I don't care if the baby was going to die with you. You need to go down with the shit.
I kill you for it.
Exactly.
Yeah. Delightful.
But yet, if you want to take a gun and shoot up a grocery store, we're cool with that because
Right.
those people are black. Well, I shouldn't say that because this guy is actually a black man. But you get the idea. So there's a lot of that bullshit going on.
Yeah. And people get to feel like they're not racist if they vote for him.
Right.
That's obviously
true.
I'm not racist because I like a self-hating black man who votes
Right.
the same way I do.
Exactly.
Yeah. It's all fucking bullshit. And there's a lot to like pick apart, but I think we should wait and pick it apart once those elections have been decided.
Right.
And we should focus on something that's been more entertaining for me, which is the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial.
Right? What a fucking shit show that's been. Oh God, she's a goddamn nightmare.
Okay, where are you, Erica? Have you heard what's going on? Are you caught up?
I am pretty caught up. The whole thing is a shit show, though. Like a desperate shit show.
I usually, for this part, I usually get on Twitter and just see what's trending. And I saw that I Stand with Amber Heard was trending. And I was like, what the fuck is this shit? Like, have they not been watching this trial? And so I clicked on it and was reading the posts. And 9 out of 10 posts are actually saying they're just hashtagging it because of the popularity of the hashtag. And they're like, yeah, this bitch is crazy. Have you heard what she's saying? Like, she's giving, sexual abuse and domestic abuse survivors a bad name.
She's also now getting a $3,000 speaking fee for domestic violence people, which is fucking bullshit.
She's telling other people's stories, which she's telling the stories that she's heard from other survivors.
Are you talking about the one that was her assistant? Because that's the one I was thinking of.
I'm sorry. Please continue.
Have you heard?
And I haven't heard of this, so I'd like to hear.
No, yeah, Erica, tell us what you know about it.
So her assistant, her much beleaguered and abused assistant, by the way, and to be an assistant for anybody in the entertainment field is just basically being a gopher boy Friday for everything, girl Friday for everything. So there's nothing included in this. Do you get their medication? Do you do their dishes? Do you pick up their laundry? Do you do all their scheduling? You do all that. So this woman did all that and more, like cleaning up the cat shit for Amber Heard.
Plus bring you your fucking wine and cocaine at night.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
So she did all
my cocaine.
She has, and I'm not going to quote it because it is her story, and she has shared her own personal abuse story with Amber Heard, and the details of it were repeated by Amber Heard as if it was her own fucking story.
Right.
But also, as being a woman who has been hit in the fucking face before, she's not showing up to these photo shoots and getting makeup to cover this horrible abuse.
No.
She didn't photograph anything that looks spent. I've been kicked in the face with a boot. I've been hit in the face with a bottle. Like that's not what it looks like. It's not what it looks like.
No, you can't make swelling go away with arnica. Like that's bullshit. Arnica,
Or Amica.
Amica. Yeah, right. So if you use
Amica.
like arnica on,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Well, because
Amica.
we kept saying like, what the fuck is this bitch talking about? It's like, oh no, you can't make it. It will help in the long run, but initial damage is done, and you're.
But even the pictures she showed herself are more of somebody going like this, you know, or it like bashing themselves
like
the book.
Like if you were to take one of those scrubbing things that you get all the dead skin off with, and you just went like that a lot.
I exfoliated really well once.
Exactly.
And I don't want to belittle people who have been abused or take away from their stories at all. But this woman actually stole another person's story and said it almost verbatim on the stand.
Well, that's what I think is the problem. I think so. It starts out with like his testimony, and now it's her testimony. So now everyone's just hearing her side and watching her performance. And
she's a bad actress for one.
Yeah. Right.
Sorry. It's true.
Yeah.
I don't have to apologize for her short.
My other point is that like, as somebody who came from an abusive upbringing, like I understand how shitty abuse is, and I would never want to take that away from somebody who experienced abuse or did not be believed. I 100% believe victims, but you also have to have a credible story. And in her case, she does not. One, you don't antagonize your abuser ever. If anything, you try to stay very small and very quiet because you don't want them to lash out at you.
She's baiting him. She's making him stay. She's not trying to escape. She's belittling him and telling him not to leave. Yeah, it's
he's saying, let me leave. I can't talk to you right now. It's too heated. So don't leave me. And it's just like, I hate saying this, but like, also, I'm not saying he's not abusive. He said some verbally abusive things, and who knows, he may have hit her at some point. I don't know. And none of us can know that. But at the end of the day, how much of that was antagonized by her to make him go that far? Like, how far can you push someone until they break?
I end with like, she's fucking crazy sauce and she's antagonized and she abused him and she's making this shit up. And then also he's a person with a drug addiction and a lot of money that nobody says no to. And so his grasp on reality and facts are not very, very solid. And this is a really great combination of people who should never get married or be together exploding on television and distracting us from thinking about the fact that they're going to take away abortion and IUDs.
Right. Agreed.
Exactly.
Agreed.
So that not only that, it's $50 million per person. What could that money go towards? That's not this bullshit. Also the January 6th commission.
Ding,
also,
ding, 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 ding.
Jeannie Thomas, the wife of Clarence Thomas. These are all things we all need to be paying attention to, not fucking Johnny Depp or Amber Heard. By
ding, ding, fucking ding, Jenny Thomas.
Fucking
God damn it.
So drawn to it because it's like
fun,
familiar. It's familiar faces for
it's
us.
Not fun. I'm sorry, I shouldn't say that, but it's exactly, you know it. Familiar faces.
Mm-hmm.
It's entertaining. It's entertainment. And we as a society are, I don't know if you ever read Shirley Jackson's The Lottery, but I felt this way about Britney Spears. We really want to see our famous people in peril. We want to destroy young, sexy women. We want to see that sort of, it's like our modern gladiators or sacrifices. Right. We want to see shaved Britney Spears with an umbrella freaking out because all of her privacy and her life has been stolen from her, and we want to laugh at that and we want to go, oh god, geez. Right. And that's the same kind of thing that we have with the fame of Johnny Depp and Amber Heard, and while everybody else can go do their bullshit and we won't pay attention and call out the fact that Marjorie Taylor Greene did give tours to people before January 6th to show them people would be hiding, or
I think that was Lauren Boebert that gave the
oh,
tour.
Lauren Boebert.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Who
Sorry,
disconnected the
Marjorie.
panic buttons.
Right.
you
Yeah.
know.
Just
Yeah.
for, you know.
Or Clarence Thomas's wife, who has been doing this shit for like 30 years.
Right.
Right.
He shouldn't be in any position of power. He shouldn't be in a position to rule on January 6th anything, but he won't recuse himself. So
I don't think he could have ever gotten to the court. He doesn't do anything but play Tetris. Also, I'm a person who was cognizant of when the Anita Howell trial happened, so I'm very fucking old.
Anita
But I
Hill, right?
also-
yeah.
Anita Hill, sorry,
Yeah.
Anita, fucking drunk and Scott again. So but I remember that happening, and he shouldn't have become a Supreme Court justice in the first place, but he doesn't do anything. He's ineffectual. He hasn't written a brief. He doesn't make any responses, but his wife is going and using her position close to privilege and fucking things up. And we're watching Amber Heard and Johnny Depp because somebody is making a shit ton of money on TikToks for that.
Right.
So it's in front of us on IG and it's in front of us on Facebook. And yeah,
That's a whole thing too.
that's a whole thing.
Yeah, we could do a whole actually separate podcast on that social media echo chamber, you know, whatever.
Well, she going to story time.
Let's go to story time. That was an eloquent
Woo!
segment.
100 episodes. Like, yeah.
Right into story time. Erica, serious question. Is that the marijuanas you've got going on there? What's that?
No.
What's happening? No?
No, I vape. I have a vape.
Oh, okay.
I'm vaping.
Like a fog machine or?
No, the
Happening.
marijuana actually comes out of this thing, but
Oh,
someone has a medical prescription for it, and it's not for me.
the
No.
reason I'm asking is because I thought that was changing, or I thought that had been voted different in Utah, because it's
So-
not
so-
been like that for years anywhere
Yeah,
else.
this is true. So medical marijuana is new in the state of Utah, and we do have marijuana pharmacists, and you can get a prescription from your doctor or from a registered nurse who will give you a card, and then you can buy. They call them gelatinous cubes because we're not allowed to have anything that looks like it's candy for kids.
Of
and
course.
there's no cookies or anything like that. And then you can have marijuana, but you can't smoke it with fire. You have to smoke it with vape. You have to vaporize it. And those are the rules here.
Thou
However,
shalt not smoke with fire.
right,
Take your gelatinous cubes to the cave and
but
get
it's,
high.
it's incremental. It's incremental amounts of change. And so we actually have medical marijuana in Utah, which I didn't think we were going to get.
Yeah, that's
um,
big. That's big.
Yeah, so that's a big deal. Is it archaic and kind of dumb? Yeah, but are the people who are doing it and running it and trying to push it forward, do they really have a lot of knowledge, medical knowledge, and their hearts in the right place and are really, really helpful with it? Yeah, there's like great things happening in Utah with medical marijuana.
This is slightly off script, but since we're talking about it and we're going into story time anyway, the first time I ever smoked the marijuanas was in Utah. And I was 15 years old, and it was like, knowing what I know now, it was like taking a dried up bush of stems and seeds and lighting it on fire, trying to breathe in the vapors. And I was like, why do people do this? This is so stupid. I don't even feel anything.
Where were you at?
In my garage at the house in Logan,
Yeah.
the third East house.
Who were you with?
Probably you. That's not familiar.
Mine was my freshman year of high school. The first time that I did that was my freshman year of high school. I didn't know that my father had been growing it in the basement. I thought so. I didn't know that was happening for years. But I went to a concert in Brigham City because remember Logan had like a really hot concert scene for a minute. It was the people who would stop at Boise. They'd do a show in Boise and then they'd be heading to Salt Lake and they'd stop in between and spend the night in like Logan or Brigham City. And I can't remember the name of the band, but I do remember the people I was with, and I'm not going to out them because they have wives, children, and careers. But it was like, they gave it to me. They're like, don't act like an idiot. Okay, just don't act like, just don't go, oh wow, the colors, or say like fucked up or any of that. Okay, just like enjoy it.
Be cool.
Be cool. So I got this whole be cool speech, and I was like, yeah, be cool. And then of course nothing happened that first time.
Well, I think it was because we had already been doing acid.
Yeah.
So we had these big expectations of what smoking pot was like. And we're
this
like,
is it.
this is fucking stupid.
Yeah.
Good times growing up as a teenager in Utah.
Delightful.
So we prepared some stories to tell the people. Do you want to tell your story first, or should I tell mine first?
You tell your story first.
Okay, I've been dying to tell this one, and I'm so glad that you're here to help me fill. I think hopefully we can help each other fill in the blank spots of the memories, because the story that I'm thinking of that I wanted to tell for so long was the time that we went to homecoming dance as freshmen in high school. So this was in 1991.
Oh fuck! You just told everybody how fucking old we are,
Oh,
man.
shit. Well, you don't know what end of the spectrum. No, I'm sorry, I did. I told everyone how old we were.
There's no editing, so you're
Nope.
welcome.
Sorry. But listen, the reason I know it was 1991 was because so this particular dance that we went to, my date, who was, I don't even want to say his first name, much less his last name. My date made a tape of one song over and over and over again, a cassette tape on both sides of the same song over and over and over. And it was the hit song by Bryan Adams.
Oh God.
From the movie Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves.
Ooh, everything I'll do it for you.
Everything I do it for you. Oh yeah. Over and over. I swear to God, I heard that song 87 times that night. And I was like, it was cute the first like 3 times. And I was like, oh, hell no. Hell no. Anyways, that's why I know what year it was. Sorry. But do you remember this dance that we went to, the homecoming dance? I think that was the theme of the dance, was like, everything I do it for you, from the movie.
You sound, yes, you are exactly right. It was either that or Forever Young, and I think actually Prom was Alphaville's Forever Young.
Yes.
Which much earlier than that year, but it's like we just listened to Alphaville for every fucking dance from middle school through high school. That's Forever Young.
Mm-hmm.
I want to.
Which makes Napoleon Dynamite so much funnier, because that's actually true.
It's actually true. Every dance.
I don't know why I think of Always Sunny in Philadelphia for that song. They have like a prom episode.
Because maybe it's every prom.
Yep, it's every prom.
Maybe it's every prom. But okay, so here's what I remember about that dance. We were very young. So it was you and I and a friend of ours from high school, and this friend of ours was kind of like hosting the pre-dance dinner thing at her house. So it was like us 3 girls, and we were all like best friends at the time, and then our 3 dates who were, whatever, and not memorable. Let's just put it that way. I remember us like having dinner, like making this like dinner for them. And then I remember us playing that game. Do you remember the game we always used to play, this board game called Past Lives?
Yes.
And it was like, have you heard of this one?
No.
It was like, I've tried to find it on eBay and whatever. I can't find it anywhere.
I have to see if I still have it, because do you remember that came from my mother?
I forgot about that. But
yeah.
So if you had it, oh my God, I'm sure you could make $1 million.
Let me see if my mom still has it, because I have a feeling like it came from England or something. And it was just like, yeah.
It was like a board game where you would like,
sounds supernatural.
You'd roll the dice and you'd get cards and it would tell you what to do. But it was essentially like you're trying to move from a rat or a cockroach or something up to, your highest form, which was, what was the very final form? You could be anonymous.
No, yeah, it was anonymous. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like you were Michelangelo, and then you were, you started as a rat, and then you Anyways, it was very.
Was it Utopia or no Nirvana? It was like
Nirvana. That's what it was.
Yeah. Yeah.
So yeah, we're like
fun reincarnation games.
Yeah.
Teenagers.
I want to play this game.
Please, Erica, see if you have it, because
we're going into town too, right? So
oh yeah, we'll discuss this offline, but we are coming to visit you, and we could have a lot of fun with that.
This I know. Yes. I'm very excited. I'm very excited. I will ask Kathy if she has it and if it made the purge.
That would be so
I
awesome.
hope so.
I hope so too.
But yeah, so I remember playing that game. I remember also my stepmom had made my dress for the event because we sew each other's dresses in Utah. Not you, Erica, the Mormons. But but I remember having like a drop shoulder, drop waisted green velvet sort of situation was very popular in the early 90s. Just think of any episode of 90210 or, you know, it's that sort of thing they were doing. And we drove with our dates. We separated at the house. We drove with our dates to the dance. And then we met in the parking lot. This is why I had to hear that song so many fucking goddamn times. We met in the parking lot, and then our dates decided they were all going to go to the car to get something. I don't know. Circle jerk. I don't know what they were doing. And so the girls, we were like, okay, yeah. We're like, we're going to go to this dance. So we go up to the dance and we try to get in, and the person at the door was like, I'm sorry, you can't come in here without dates. And then I don't remember exactly what was said, but Erica was just like not having it. She was like, do you remember what you said? Do you remember that?
I was a little bit of a fiery ACLU kind of teenager. And I'm pretty sure it was something like, oh, so you're against gay people. So this whole system is against gay people. So basically you're accusing us of being gay people just because we're single women who want to get into a dance. I don't see anywhere that it's posted that we can't get into your fucking dance. I didn't swear, obviously. Because, your fetching dance. I don't see anywhere that you said that you have to have a date to attend the dance. That's establishing a patriarchy, and I won't be part of it.
Yeah, it was absolutely that, because I mean I just like remember standing in awe of you, like I want to be this girl. But it was just like, you know, just because we're lesbians we can't go into the dance. And I was like, yes, you tell them.
Like people loving each other, is that what's going on?
Exactly. And whoever the like 14, 15-year-old kid was at the door just kind of stood back and was like, okay, you can go in.
But they didn't have a parent there, a chaperone.
Well, they did have chaperones inside, which honestly, the only thing I remember about being inside was we got inside. It was awkward as it is. Our dates finally came back in. And I don't know if you remember this or you remember your date, but my date was gross and sweaty and stinky and very drunk. So I don't know what they had been pounding in the parking lot, but it was gross. Maybe
each other, maybe alcohol.
Maybe both.
You don't know.
Maybe both.
My date cried, and that's what I remember. It is that my date cried and basically told me that we were never going to have sex. And I'm like, what am I here for then?
I'm going to go get with my lesbian witches.
I'm going to go masturbate in the hot tub after we're done.
Well,
boring.
We did go to the hot tub. So the other friend that we were with, she had a hot tub at her house, and we did go back to her house after the dance and maybe or maybe not masturbated in the hot tub. I don't know. I was not sexually fulfilled after that dance.
I have to say that I probably masturbated in the hot tub on masturbating in the hot tub.
Well, when you find those jets, you find those jets. You know, it's not your fault you find the jets. The jets find you, kind of. I don't know.
I concur.
Anyway, that's my story of my recollection of the homecoming dance themed of the Robin Hood Prince of Thieves 1991 blockbuster hit starring Kevin Costner.
I just want to point out that why would they kick out lesbians when they could kick you out for being on drugs?
I'm pretty sure we weren't on drugs when we went there in 1990. Okay. I'm pretty sure that we were pretty sober. And eventually, it's not that we arrive on drugs, it's that we do drugs while we were there.
You know what? That is a very fair point, and I retract my statement.
Good times.
Good times. Okay, can I talk about my one B&E, my one breaking and entering?
Please do.
The statute of limitation. Oh gosh, I'm sorry. So I committed
Don't worry.
point in time.
This is only the patrons that can see this, so you're good.
Oh, so you're paying to hear my confession.
Yes, you're good.
So
Well, visually.
I'm actually in college, and it's not that I'm straight and narrow. I still do drugs, but I'm also very serious about graduating and doing things for my career. And also doing drugs on weekends and things like that. Our friend Alan, our mutual friend Alan, whose family had owned a cabin up in Logan Canyon that we had spent a lot of time, mostly in the winter, because it was always free in the winter. We could get it in the winter, and so we would stay up there for weeks. We'd bring our own water, we'd bring food in. We could stay in it in the summertime. It was beautiful and remote. It was by the nunnery, which we've talked about before.
Yeah, I was gonna say our listeners might recognize these audio cues. The cabin, the nunnery, they know. If you know, you know.
The canyon.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, when I was in college, Alan's family decided to sell the cabin. Alan's grandparents decided to sell the cabin, which is one of the more heartbreaking betrayals of my entire life. So they had sold it probably 2 years before this event happens, and like I say, I'm about ready to graduate. Our friend Alan had gone to college, dropped out of college, come back and opened a company, done some things, been himself. Anyway, and he calls me and he's like, "Look, the clock that we loved so well, that was always on the mantelpiece, was left on the cabin during the sale. It was left on the mantelpiece, and I want to get it back. What's your advice?" And I'm like, let me do some reading.
Yeah.
So
let me just say too, let me just interject really quick. The clock on the mantelpiece, that was like precious to him and his family for reasons, but it was precious to us and our family because we spent so much time at that fucking cabin. So like
yes. And I knew this, we all knew this clock really well. It was a very special clock. It was very important. And I was like kind of flabbergasted that they had left it there to be sold with the sale. I could understand the couches, I could understand the beds, I could understand all that, but like, why would you leave this kind of piece there? So I did some reading, and I got together some tools, and so we drove up, and the first thing I did is I parked on the bridge because you couldn't follow my footprints on the bridge.
Smart. I like it.
So we walked in single file, and I carried a broom with me up the front door, and we tried to like open the windows, and we couldn't. I tried to make it as damage free as possible.
right.
and that I couldn't do that, so we did have to break one pane in one window to get things unlocked. I wiped things down with like alcohol. I dusted the mantelpiece. I put the clock in like a bag, I wore a mask to go with it. I have video. And I swept footprints. I also wore boots that were too big for me.
You're so smart.
Oh my God, it's like I was gonna commit a murder. It's
hope your hair was properly pinned.
That were too big for me. So, and then I also swept up the footprints, and and then we locked the door again. We actually put a piece of wood on the window so nobody else would break into it, because we just wanted the clock. And then we left them, and because we took that clock, we also took every clock in the house.
That's what I wanted to hear.
So they didn't know.
We took the clock in the bedroom, and we left them a note that said, "You have been hit by the clock."
And let me just, this was not intentional, but let me just refer back to the story of you in the bedroom under the bed trying to come down off of 50 hits of acid. That clock was a major part of that story in my mind.
That clock was a major, yeah. Oh man. It's the one thing that Alan has actually kept through all his moves too, is that clock, because he understands how very important.
I'm so glad he still has that.
The funny thing about it, so I swept our footprints from everywhere. I swept them off of the bridge. We drove off the bridge. I swept them off of the leaving the bridge until we got to the highway. Like I was fucking thorough. 2
What about the
weeks
tire
later-
tracks?
the tire tracks. I swept the tire tracks. I swept.
Come on.
Oh yeah.
I'll make
no,
sure. I mean,
I
do you
was-
let the car drive away a little bit while you swept them and then
I did that. Which is funny. You're thinking of Cache Valley Police are going to spend that much time on a cabin break-in. But what's funny is Alan's brother was in the police department. He was a sheriff in the police department. And so he had actually gotten the call about a month later when they found out that it had been broken in. And he just came over to Alan's house and he's like, yeah, so it's crazy. That cabin got broken into and somebody stole like some clocks that look a lot like that clock. I don't know what to tell them though. They're never gonna find it again. And so
I love that story, and I totally forgot the part about the brother cop.
oh no, the brother cop was actually very helpful in my life of like, yeah, there's a warrant out because you did this and that. And I was like, oh, thank you. I will take care of that. Fuck.
It's like the cherry on top of the story.
Yeah, it is the cherry on top. I was shocked. Yeah, I was very careful. I was really careful. I didn't want to get caught. I had a scholarship. I didn't want to
You have
fuck it
dreams.
up. Yeah, I had
Aspirations.
dreams, man. I had dreams. I didn't want to ruin them with a B&E. So,
and if you have dreams, you should head on over to Apple Podcasts and leave us a review.
you should.
If you've ever thought about a B&E,
Send that story over to FHEBadMormons.com. We'd love to hear about it. Like and subscribe our YouTube channel.
you are feeling very left out that you are only hearing this recording and not watching the magic that's happening, you can sign up to be a patron.
We're on all the social medias: YouTube,
Facebook,
Pinterest.
Pornhub.
Yeah!
Erica, thank you so much for joining us for our 100th episode.
Yay, 100 episodes. Turn off your phone or don't turn it off, and then go over to Amazon and watch Kids in the Home.
Sean's very passionate about this for good reason.
For good goddamn reason.